Did anyone ever sit you down and tell you the truth about life after 80? Not the kind of truth you find in greeting cards or health pamphlets. I mean the real truth. The kind that settles deep in your bones, not because it's shocking, but because it's honest. You see, getting older doesn't always come with fanfare. There's no marching band waiting to celebrate your 80th birthday, and no instruction manual delivered to your door. What comes instead, quietly, sometimes without warning, are changes that run far deeper than the wrinkles on your skin or the stiffness in your knees. Today we're talking about one of the most overlooked and painful parts of aging: loneliness. And this isn't the kind of loneliness you can solve with background music or a pet in the house. This is the deeper kind. The kind that creeps in even when you're surrounded by people. The kind that builds not from being alone, but from being unseen, unheard, and slowly, unintentionally forgotten. But this video isn't here to depress you. It's here to prepare you, to say the quiet parts out loud, and to remind you that yes, some realities after 80 are brutal, but understanding them gives you the strength to face them with dignity, resilience, and power. So stay with me. We're going to walk through 5 brutal truths about aging loneliness that every senior must understand. And if you've ever felt a shadow of silence creep into your life, this video is for you. 1. Your world will shrink, and you'll have to build a new one. One of the first things that happens after 80 is something most people never talk about. Your world starts to shrink. One day, you wake up and realize something feels smaller. The phone that used to ring so often? It's quiet now. The front door doesn't swing open as frequently. Your calendar, once filled with birthdays, outings, and family dinners, looks suspiciously empty. And slowly, almost silently, the world you spent decades building begins to shrink. It's not that people stopped caring. It's just that life moves on. Friends retire, relocate, or pass away. Children grow into parents. Grandchildren grow into adults with lives that spin faster than you can keep track of. And while you're still here, still thinking, still loving, you start to feel left behind. It's a reality few talk about. Aging often comes with social erosion. Not all at once, but piece by piece. One friend moves into a care home, another stops driving, a third just stops calling, and you're left sitting in the same armchair, staring at the same 4 walls, wondering when the next visit will come. And it hurts. Because human connection isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline. And when those ties loosen, you don't just lose plans, you lose pieces of your identity. Who are you without the friend who always called to check on you? Who are you without the neighbor you waved to every morning? But here's the deeper truth. While the world may shrink, you don't have to. You see, shrinking is not just about losing people. It's also about whether you choose to rebuild. Whether you let life happen to you, or whether you gently, bravely begin to shape a new circle around yourself. It doesn't have to be grand. It could start with joining a small reading group, even if your eyes get tired easily. It could be inviting a neighbor over for tea, even if the conversation feels awkward at first. It could be learning to use a phone app to video call your grandchildren, even if your hands tremble a little tapping the screen. You don't need dozens of people, just 1 or 2 who make you feel seen. A woman named Evelyn, 85, told me she started baking cookies every Friday and leaving a small plate at her neighbor's door with a handwritten note. She didn't expect anything back, but after the 4th week, that neighbor knocked, and now they have Friday tea together. Evelyn rebuilt a connection, not by waiting, but by reaching. So yes, your world may shrink, but inside that smaller world can be deep laughter, meaningful conversation, and moments that remind you you're still needed, still worthy, still alive in the truest sense. The shrinking is real, but so is your ability to grow new roots. If you felt this slow shift in your own life, let us know by commenting number 1 below. Your story matters, and someone reading it might just feel a little less alone. 2. People will forget to see you until you remind them you're still here. You don't notice it all at once. It begins subtly. Maybe the clerk at the grocery store smiles past you instead of at you. Maybe a nurse asks your son how you're feeling while you're sitting right there in the room. Maybe your opinion is brushed aside during a family conversation, not with malice, but with the kind of hurried politeness that stings just the same. You are not being hated. You are not being mocked. You are simply being overlooked. And at first, you let it go. You chalk it up to someone being in a rush. But then it happens again and again. And then one day you realize something painful. The world doesn't look at you anymore. It looks through you. This is one of the most brutal and rarely spoken realities of growing older. As your hair grays, your voice softens, and your movements slow, people begin to treat you as though you've slipped into the background of your own life. And that invisibility cuts deeper than most wounds. Because for decades, you were the glue, the decision maker, the friend who showed up, the parent who held it all together. You lived, not just existed. And now, it feels like society has started to write you off, as though your story has already reached its final chapter, even while you're still turning the pages. But here's the truth you must never forget. You are still here. You are not done. You have thoughts, wisdom, feelings, fire. You have memories that stretch back further than some people's lifetimes. That matters, but sometimes you'll have to remind the world of that. Not by shouting, not by begging, but by refusing to fade. Speak up in the conversation, even if you're interrupted. Offer your thoughts, even if they're not asked for. Start something new, even if someone rolls their eyes and says, "At your age?" Yes, at your age, because your age is not a barrier. It's a credential. I met a woman once, 86, named Lorraine. She told me she wore a bright yellow scarf every time she went out. Not because it matched her outfit, but because it made people notice her. When I stopped blending in, she said, people started asking me questions again. I became visible. You don't need a yellow scarf. Maybe it's your voice. Maybe it's your stories. Maybe it's just holding someone's gaze for 1 second longer than usual so they feel your presence. Because when you stop accepting invisibility, the world starts remembering how to see you again. So if you've ever felt passed over, tuned out, or treated like you were no longer needed, I invite you to type number 2 in the comments. Not just to be seen, but to say, boldly and clearly, I am still here. I still count. I still matter. 3. Time will give you space, and that space can either heal or haunt you. After 80, something happens that catches many off guard. Your life gets quieter, and your mind gets louder. For years, even decades, you might have longed for quiet, a slower pace, a break from the chaos of work, bills, children, errands, and noise. And then one day you wake up and realize you haven't. The quiet is here. But it's not what you imagined, because now it's too quiet. No deadlines, no morning alarms, no one asking what's for dinner or when the laundry will be done. At first, this space might feel like freedom, but soon it starts to feel like something else. A blank room where your thoughts echo louder than you expected. And those thoughts, they aren't always kind. Memories begin to flood in, not just the good ones, but the hard ones too. Old regrets, missed opportunities, words left unsaid, the face of a sibling you never reconciled with, the job you turned down, the friend you never called back, the moments you swore you'd return to but never did. And in this stillness, you start to wonder, what would I change if I had just a little more time back then? This is one of the most painful forms of loneliness, the kind that doesn't come from being without people, but from being alone with your past. But here's what I want to say. This space you have now doesn't have to haunt you. It can heal you, if you let it. Because reflection doesn't have to lead to regret. It can lead to understanding. And understanding can lead to peace. You can't rewrite the past, no. But you can reframe it. You can forgive the person you once were, the one who made mistakes, who rushed, who missed things, who hurt and was hurt. You can extend grace to your younger self and recognize that they were doing the best they could with what they had. And even now, even here in your 80s, you still have time. Not endless time perhaps, but precious time. Time to write a letter, to say I'm sorry, to say I love you, to call someone, to share a story, to leave something beautiful behind. A man I once knew, Harold, 89, told me he began writing down one memory a day in a notebook. Not for a book, not for attention, but for his grandson. I want him to know I lived, he said, and I want him to know it wasn't all perfect, but it was mine. That's how you take the space time gives you and make it sacred. If you've ever felt that quiet ache, if you've ever sat in the silence and felt overwhelmed by the past, type number 3 in the comments. You're not alone in that room, and your story, with all its chapters, still has something to teach, starting today. 4. Dependence will visit, but it doesn't have to stay. Here's a reality that hits hard. Your body won't always cooperate with your spirit. After 80, you'll start to notice that what your mind wants, your body can't always follow. You might hesitate before getting into the bath. You might need a walker, even though you swore you'd never use one. You might start avoiding night drives, stairs, or carrying groceries. It might happen when you're trying to twist open a jar and your hands simply can't, or when you take the stairs and feel a wobble in your knees that wasn't there last week. And the hardest part? You'll start needing help. That can be crushing, especially if you've spent your life being the helper. This is the slow, steady arrival of something no one wants to admit: dependence. For decades, you've been the one others leaned on. You were the one who cooked every meal, drove to every appointment, fixed the leaky faucet, held the umbrella in the rain. You were the helper, the caregiver, the rock. And now, suddenly, it's you reaching out for a hand. And for many, that change feels like a loss of self. Because needing help feels different than offering it. It asks for vulnerability. It invites questions about ability, about worth, about what it means to still be you when your body won't always cooperate with your will. You might start doing things in secret just to avoid asking, struggling with bags that are too heavy, skipping meals instead of asking someone to run errands, ignoring a leaky roof rather than troubling your son, who you think is already too busy. This is how many older adults quietly slip into isolation, not because they're forgotten, but because they don't want to feel like they're in the way. But here's the truth. Accepting help is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of wisdom. You've earned the right to rest when you need to lean when your legs are tired, to ask without apology for someone to help you reach what's out of arm's length. And here's something else no one tells you. You're not the only one adjusting. Often the people who love you want to help. They're waiting to. But they also don't want to overstep. They wait for your permission. They want to hear you say, "Yes, I'd love your help," even if they know you've never been the type to ask. I once spoke with a man named Martin, 86. He told me that letting his grandson drive him to appointments felt, at first, like giving up control. But over time, he noticed something. Those car rides became conversations, a shared space. "I thought I was burdening him," Martin said, "but really, I was giving him time he didn't even know he needed." And me too. What we sometimes mistake for burden is really bonding. What we call weakness is really an opportunity for grace, for humility, for connection. Dependence may visit, it may even settle in for a while, but it doesn't define you. You are still strong, still wise, still capable of shaping your life. Only now, you're doing it with the help of hands that are ready to hold yours. 5. Loneliness isn't the end, but a signal that it's time to begin again. Here's the final brutal truth. Loneliness after 80 can feel like a slow fading. You sit with it at breakfast. You walk with it to the mailbox. It climbs into bed beside you. It doesn't always feel sharp, but it lingers. It's not that no one loves you. It's that connection feels harder to access. And in that quiet ache, you might start believing a dangerous lie. That you've had your time. That what comes next doesn't matter. But I want you to hear me. You are still becoming. You see, loneliness is not just about being without people. It's about being without connection. Deep, intentional connection. And while you may no longer be surrounded by coworkers, full dinner tables, or grandchildren running through your home, that doesn't mean your capacity to connect is gone. It just means you have to do something you've already done many times in life. Begin again. Not from scratch, but from here. From now. You still have stories no one's heard. Advice no one's received, a smile someone needs to see, a listening ear that could be someone else's lifeline. You still have the power to bring comfort, humor, tenderness, and truth to a world that is starving for it. There was a woman I met, Marjorie, 90 years old. She had outlived her husband, 3 siblings, and nearly all of her childhood friends. She told me, "I thought I was invisible." Then I started writing birthday letters to strangers in the local nursing home. Just a short note to say, "You matter, I see you." She said the first letter she received in return made her cry. It wasn't just that they appreciated it, she said. It was that they reminded me I wasn't done giving. That's what purpose looks like at 80, 90, and beyond. It's not about doing something big, it's about doing something meaningful. Yes, the ache of loneliness is real, but so is the possibility that lives in each new morning. Each phone call you make, each smile you offer, each step you take out of the door, even if it's just to sit in the sun and say hello to someone passing by. Loneliness is not your end, it's your next invitation. Life after 80 isn't easy, but neither was getting here, and yet, here you are. You've survived decades of change, loss, growth, and still you rise each day. That, my friend, is not weakness, that is strength. So let me ask you, of these 5 brutal realities, which one spoke the loudest to you? Which one felt like it was written just for your soul? Leave a comment. Your story matters, your thoughts matter, and more importantly, you matter. If this video touched you in any way, please like it, subscribe to our channel, turn on the bell so you don't miss what we share next. Your support keeps us going, keeps this space alive, and helps others, just like you, feel a little less alone. Until next time, take care of your heart, speak up when you need to, and remember, aging may bring loneliness, but it also brings power. The power to shape what comes next. We'll see you in the next video.